Ghislaine settles himself across the desk with steady, purposeful movements addressing the issue with calm assurance, openly admitting that when the chance presented itself, he grabbed it without second thought. Yet he makes clear his purpose isn't to dwell on the past, but to chart the course ahead. Sitting back with unmistakable confidence, his gaze fixed forward as he voices his demand. He wants to be named commander of the Northern Army, a bold claim that sends shockwaves through those present. Sir Biller Norton stares in stunned disbelief, beads of sweat forming on his brow, while Marcus Morris loses all control, his expression twisted in furious outrage. While the room erupts, Maris Branford stays silent behind his desk. Clasping his hands, his piercing red eyes narrow sharply in examination of the ambitious young man. Justine holds Maris's intense stare without wavering, his blue eyes icy and determined, awaiting judgment. Branford tightens his grip on the armrest, face stern but thoughtful. He speaks directly to Ghislaine, noting how since his arrival, the atmosphere has undeniably shifted. He admits sensing a fresh breeze stirring among the stagnant royalist ranks. Ghislaine doesn't shy from the metaphor. Instead, he smirks with confident arrogance, promising to be that very gust propelling them forward. Branford leans back, contemplating the magnitude of the request. He points out that during peace, the Northern Army commander title is largely ceremonial, an empty badge. But in war, it is a seat of immense control. Narrowing his red eyes, he questions the prudence of entrusting such latent power to someone as fiery and unpredictable as Ghislaine. Unshaken by Branford's challenge, Ghislaine remains composed and responds simply, "Yes." The strategic facts are unmistakable. The Luanian army is divided into 4 legions led by regional commanders assigned to prepare for various threats. While Branford views the role as symbolic in peace, Ghislaine grasps the true weight behind the title. When war breaks, it becomes far more than formality. It transforms into absolute command, granting the commander undisputed power to rally all regional lords under their banner. Placing a hand on his chest, Ghislaine speaks with steady conviction, acknowledging the northern commander post is officially vacant. He boldly suggests since the position must be filled, eventually he should be the one to take it. Branford listens silently before meeting Ghislaine's gaze again. He asks why Ghislaine believes the post is empty. With a hard stare, he stresses that if it was just a vacancy, someone else would have claimed it by now. This is not a role simply awarded on request. Undeterred, Ghislaine shifts to politics' precarious state. He highlights a dangerous truth: the rival ducal house already exerts sway over the southern and western commanders. Branford's eyes flicker with surprise at the sharp insight. Ghislaine presses on. Although the east and north still lie in the royalist faction's hands, the situation remains extremely fragile. Count Desmond, a man known for his deceit, is actively vying for the very role Ghislaine aims to secure. Ghislaine tightens his fist, stressing the critical nature of the timeline. He warns that once the power balance shatters, restoring it will be nearly impossible. He insists the Marquis understand that now, while the royalists maintain their edge, is the moment to bolster their forces by any means necessary. His face hardens with unwavering resolve as he states their main objective: to build a force strong enough to quell even a civil war, should the ducal house provoke one. His intense words strike a nerve among the gathered nobles. Count Alsber, Sir Biller Norton, and Maris Morris visibly tense up, beads of cold sweat appearing on their foreheads. For a dreadful instant, the vision of a kingdom consumed by flames, a civil war that would raise everything, flashes vividly before them, making Ghislaine's warning impossible to dismiss. Maris Branford stays quiet for a lengthy moment, his expression unreadable. He lowers his gaze, grumbling quietly as he realizes he's been outplayed. He mutters that Ghislaine has dared to manipulate him, acknowledging the young man's skill in bringing him to this exact conclusion. With a sharp shift in tone, Branford announces he will immediately take Ghislaine's promotion proposal to the royal court. Ghislaine's eyes widen in surprise as the Marquis picks up his quill. Branford explains why this move is necessary. According to the kingdom's laws, only someone holding the rank of count can serve as a commander. Granting Ghislaine such a post without disturbing family hierarchies would insult his lineage. So Branford decides Ghislaine's father, the current Count Persium, will also be promoted to accommodate this power shift. The quill scratches on parchment as the Marquis seals the decision. But before finalizing, Branford lifts his gaze sharply, his tone serious. He adds, "There is one firm condition." Ghislaine pauses, surrounded by silent allies. As he absorbs these words, he asks what the condition is, sensing that his promotion carries a heavy challenge. Maris Branford is blunt. He reveals a military aid request has come from a dangerous region, the Shadow Mountains in the Tyrian Kingdom. With an unyielding gaze, he orders that Ghislaine must answer the call. The mention of the place strikes a deep chord within him. His eyes narrow as thoughts immediately turn to the notorious reputation of his destination. The Tyrian Kingdom is famous far and wide as the Land of Nights. It's a nation defined by harsh terrain, most of which is covered by the frozen, relentless peaks of the Shadow Mountains. This is a land of constant danger where wyverns patrol the skies and terrifying monsters descend in unending waves. Due to this harsh setting, Tyrion's culture revolves entirely around survival and strength. They prize power and combat skill above all, forging fierce warriors through endless battle. Consequently, the Knights of Tion are far more than mere fighters. They are famed as among the continent's toughest and most fearless warriors. Ghislaine considers the Marquis's plight with a knowing, somber look. Having hunted and trained previously in the Tyrian Kingdom, he understands that if a knightly nation seeks outside aid, then the monster threat must be far graver than it initially seems. Maris Burford outlines the situation clearly. The Turan Kingdom struggles to ready itself for this coming monster wave. Yet the Marquis speaks with confidence, noting that for a veteran like Ghislaine, who can soar over walls and cut through castle gates wielding blades, this task should be merely procedural. Ghislaine agrees with a brief nod. Understood, he states, but his acceptance includes a tactical demand. He insists that troops be stationed near the Fenris estate during his absence. He cautions that although the rival ducal house seems weakened, their panic renders them volatile, and he refuses to leave his home exposed. As Ghislaine departs the estate accompanied by his allies, his thoughts drift to the history he aims to rewrite. In his past life, Duke Delphine had already secured the regional commander's loyalties before conflict erupted. This advantage let the Duke spark civil war and ultimately seize the throne. Ghislaine vividly recalls the figure at the heart of that military revolt. The northern commander then was none other than Harold Desmond. The image of this traitor amid war's wreckage sears his memory. But this time the story will change. His eyes narrow with icy resolve as he silently vows. He won't wait to be struck first. Instead, he will launch the opening blow, seize the north and crush Delphine's ambitions before they truly take root. Ghislaine turns from the estate, his crimson coat flowing behind as he strides toward the fading light. He walks solo into the golden sunset, leaving behind the political scheming of the capital. His course is clear, his attention now fixed solely on the battlefield in the north. The scene fades into a barren vista, glowing with a dusky amber. In a wheat field swaying in the breeze stands a lone sword plunged deep into the earth. Balanced on its hilt is a cracked, dented helmet, a silent makeshift memorial bearing witness to past violence. An armored hand reaches out, the gauntlet softly brushing the cold metal of the battered helmet in a quiet gesture of respect. Standing amid the tall stalks, observing the somber scene from afar, is a man with short gray hair. Count Desmond stands among the waves of grain, his yellow eyes fixed on the figure below. Breaking the silence, he gently asks how the man is holding up. The towering armored warrior face, partly shadowed by a hood, slowly rises and acknowledges Count Desmond, his voice hoarse as he replies. Desmond shifts his gaze to the makeshift memorial, the damaged helmet atop the sword stuck in the ground. He utters the fallen victor's name. With a hint of regret, he observes that the young knight showed immense potential. The breeze sweeps through the meadow as Desmond comments on the world's unforgiving nature. His tone transitions from sympathy to something colder and more deliberate. He emphasizes his point, revealing a painful truth the mourning man already knows. Desmond clearly states that the one who ended Victor's life was Ghislaine Pertium. The hooded figure remains motionless, his back turned, listening attentively. Desmond relishes the name, saying it slowly before correcting himself with a sharp note about their foe's growing power. He is now Baron Pertium. To the mourning fighter, Desmond shares a callous, pragmatic outlook. He dismisses grief, insisting that in this world, those who only flee are doomed to lose against those who learn to soar. Having sown the seeds of vengeance, he watches as the hooded knight turns toward departure. The warrior gives a brief stoic thanks for the Count's concern, his mood shifting as he walks away, carrying a newly ignited determination. Count Desmond admits the bitter truth of their defeat, his voice tinged with resentment. He acknowledges they were the ones who pressured, and ultimately they paid the harsh consequences. The hooded warrior halts, his back stiff as he absorbs the admission of blame. Desmond gazes at the solitary grave, declaring the unchangeable fact that Victor has died. He outlines the political fallout that followed. Only once the bloodshed ceased did Vic Count reinstate Ghislaine as the North's top swordsman. Presently, the Royalist faction stands firmly behind Ghislaine, using their forces to vigilantly monitor Desmond's every move. The Count realizes his carefully maintained stance as a neutral noble has collapsed, leaving him stripped of all genuine authority. The hooded warrior breaks the silence, his voice low and menacing. He questions Desmond's doubt in the ducal house's power. Having heard enough, he steps heavily forward, the crunch of grass piercing the quiet. He asserts he will follow no one's orders any longer. Guided solely by his own will, he pledges to spark a war and wipe out his foes. The warrior fixes an intense, fierce gaze on Desmond as the Count makes his final reckless vow to confront the ducal house directly. The warrior warns Count Desmond against rashness, his tone grave and foreboding. He points out if Desmond jumps into action, the Royalists won't remain passive. He explains that acting now would make Desmond the igniting flame of a civil war, and to face such overwhelming force without the Duke's full backing is sheer suicide. The hooded figure pauses, burdened by the harsh tactical reality pressing down on his anger. Sensing this, Desmond pushes further, peeling away the warrior's stoic mask. He tells him no need to hide his true emotions, posing a piercing question. Is revenge alone truly enough to settle this? Beneath his hood, the warrior's face twists in anguish. He murmurs, voice thick with grief, questioning how the Count can speak such bitter truths. He admits he can never erase that night from memory. The image of the grave looms heavily in his mind. The moment Victor, the boy he raised as an unbeaten prodigy, vanished forever. It was returned to him cold and lifeless, his helmet cracked straight down the center. The warrior's gauntleted fist clenched fiercely, the metal straining beneath the force of his grief. He let out a roar of anguish, mourning the loss of that cherished child, exposing the deep bond they shared. Victor wasn't just a follower, but his only apprentice. His sorrow twisted into blazing self-hatred. He clenched his jaw, a scream ripping from deep within, blaming himself for the disaster, insisting he should have made the boy stronger. He wondered how any revenge could ever balance out such an unbearable loss. Crushed by his failure, he collapsed to his knees in the tall grass, his body shaking before the Count. Yet, his despair swiftly morphed into fierce, singular wrath. He raised his head, his one visible eye blazing with wild madness. He named his foe Ghislaine Pertium. Swearing to claim the beast's life with his own hands, he begged Desmond for the right to kill him. Count Desmond gazed down at the blade he had finally honed, his yellow eyes narrowing with cold, sharp satisfaction. He promised the warrior the hour would soon come. Their vision of vengeance widened, unveiling a future where their forces rule the battlefield. Desmond gave his final order. When the time arrives, the warrior will unleash total destruction with the full force of the Twin Wings Night Order.